the rump, and the twist.
So when we're saying that, can you guys see our mouse move? Okay, so in the brisket, that's right here along this. You want it full and you want it a little bit, you want it noticeable and you want it, that's one of the main things you look for just because it really shows if it's finished and kind of gives you a good idea of how fat your calf is. In the forearm, you're looking for muscling. Same with the rump, you're looking for the width and the um, curvature of the rump. And then in the twist, you're looking for depth, which is, it doesn't show it on here, but the twist, oh, it's over on this side. The twist is this line under the tail that kind of shows your depth there. And then your overall finish, you kind of look on your ribs along the top line, on the brisket, like I said before, and then on the rump. For muscling, you're looking for a fairly wide animal. You can see on the far left one here that there it's a little bit thinner muscling. It's not as wide. The feet are kind of together, and it just doesn't have as much width as you go further on to the right. You're looking for something in the good to very good width range when you're picking your top. Thick muscled, you want them to have a lot of width and curvature in their mouth. And they're you got muted for a second, sorry about that. You want a lot of width in your legs, and you can see when they walk and in their stride, they've got a lot of muscular flex and a lot of
Maybe go to the garage and see if you get better cell service check. See if it works better. I don't know if it's theirs, screen, or yours.
We'll just quickly ask if anyone that doesn't have their mic muted to just double check real quick.
So how do you evaluate degrees of finish? You want like more fat in the top line going into the body, and
you want to look in the flank area right here, kind of. You want a little bit of depth in there. Along the ribs, you'll see that if it's a good finished animal, you won't see the ribs, and when they walk, you won't see a lot of the lumps and bumps of the animal. They'll just be smooth. Same with from behind over here. You want kind of a little bit where the sack was, on the steers, and you don't want to get into that because that's a little bit too over finished when there's a lot of deposits there.
Evaluating the brisket, you want it full but not overly full. So you want it just like this one right here. And then the shoulder, you want it to be in line with its body, not outwards.
As you can see with the two raw one, they've got a little bit to go. You can still see the muscle and they're not as deep in their body, but as you get further to ideal, you can see they're muscling a little bit less and a little bit more fat cover on them. And then in the super fat, you don't really see much of the muscling, just fat. For breeding beef, all the things that you're looking for in the market beef, along with conformation, which is very important because you want to carry that animal into your herd. And when you're judging, you want something that you would want to take back to your herd. As far as capacity, you want them to be able to have a calf and have lots of room for that calf. For reproductive traits, for the bulls, you want a proportionate head and neck and shoulders, large, straight, hanging scrotum, sheath tight to body, For females, you want refined front end, which means cleaner and not as much wastage in the brisket, which is when there's a lot of muscle, like skin folds and all that stuff. For hooks, pins, width, and angles, you just want kind of clean lines. You don't want them to be overly defined, and you just want a nice smooth animal with a balanced udder as well.
So this is the ideal heifer we would want, and then the ideal bull we would want. So which is the most ideal animal in this picture right here?
We're just going to assume you're saying 2.
Gonna
We're
say
gonna hope.
you could turn their cameras on or chuck it in the chat.
Nice. And it's fluffy and not ragged.
So you're looking for number 2 on both sides here. On number 1, you can see that the knee is a little bit curved and it's not walking like it doesn't have the structural integrity as you would want. In number 2, it's a nice straight, well-structured animal. And then in number 3, you can see that they're a little bit too flexed, and that'll just cause a little bit of structural issues in the future. Same with number 1 and 3. You can see that there's a little bit more issues with it. You can see that number 1 is a little bit low on the pasterns here, which is this little part. They're just carrying it low, and their knees are a little too bent for what we would want. And then here is what we would call post-legged, where there isn't a lot of curve at all. The most ideal that you're looking for is this one with the kind of straight line from the top here, and it kind of carries down. You don't want it to kind of tuck underneath itself like this one.
Okay, now we're moving into some dairies. In dairy cattle, we look at frame and capacity, rump, feet and legs, memory system, and dairy structure. So which is the more ideal animal in this picture?
Number 1.
Yeah, number 1 is the correct one.
Yeah, because you can see that on her floor of her body, she has a straight line that kind of carries all the way through. She's got good definition of her udder on the rear and in the front here. And she's got a straight top line, good feet and legs. This one over here, I think for obvious reasons, she's kind of lacking. Yes, she has a large udder, but that's a little bit unproportionate for what you would want.
Okay, we're moving into some equine. So equine, we look at balance, muscling, length, definition, and volume. The feet and legs, conformation, proper movement. Yeah.
Which one do you guys think is the best one here? We're seeing some
1s and 3s.
lots of 3s. We would probably 2. 2's got, as you can see right here, from her withers to her hips there, she's got a little bit of a dip. You don't want it too straight. She's got a good length for neck extension. I would say in 3, it's a little bit too long there. Anything to add with that?
we got her leg structure is really nice, and the neck is good. Her shoulders right here, they're in line like you want them to be.
You can see in 4 and 5, it kind of shows the depth on the kind of heart area, and then in the ribs you want, or from the ribs to the feet, you want in number 5 picture, you want kind of the same distance between the body and the legs, to keep it proportionate. Same with on the bottom, you want, or on number 4, you want lots of length in the body to carry your saddle.
Which animal is more ideal in this picture?
Number 1.
Yes.
So, in number 1, you can see in the flank, it's a little bit deeper. It's got a little bit more extension of the neck and a little bit more head high, looks a little bit prouder. The withers are high and it kind of flattens out along and gives a nice level line with that dip in the middle. You want some of that. And then in the rump, there's a lot of muscling and shape and definition. And you can see that in number 2, she just kind of, or he just kind of lacks that and is a little bit narrower.
Okay, we're moving on to some swine, which are pigs. So we look for conformation, balance, muscling, finish, size and scale, and structure. So which one of these pigs is more ideal? We're seeing a lot of
Getting a lot of
ones.
ones. Yep, that would be right. You want lots of length and muscling on them. On number 2, you can see that it looks a little bit too fat for what we're looking for. Doesn't have as much length and is just carries a lot more weight than what you would want. When you're evaluating structure and soundness in pigs, you want their fronts to be straight and centered. You don't want them to be kind of bowing out at all, and you don't want them coming in, because at the end of the day, you're trying to put as much weight on them as possible and making them the proper finish before they get too fat, and you want them in good structural integrity. For depth, you want them kind of to maintain the same depth along the middle section of the body. You don't want them to be carrying too low or kind of bunching up too high, because then you're losing that extra meat and extra length in them.
So for the muscling, you want it to be a good width and not too narrow. So not like this pig right here. You want it to be like this one right here, because that's where the hams are coming.
Then you can see in the length of body, like I meant before, you want them to be straight across. You don't want them to have a big hump in their back, because you lose your length in your top tenderloins and all that. And you want them to have as much length and definition as possible. And for shoulders, you want them kind of like that picture. You don't want them too straight, because then you're running into issues where they're not going to be walking as easily, and same with too curved. We'll run into that same issue.
Okay, now we're going to market sheep. Yep. So market sheep, we look for conformation, balance, muscling, finish, dressing percentage. So which one of these is the more ideal animal? 1 or 2?
Number 2.
Yeah, would say two.
I would agree. You want lots of length. You can see in number one, it kind of gives away a little bit of that length in the body right here. It's a little bit shorter, so it won't be able to carry as much lambs. Though it is deeper, this one just kind of carries more capacity for lambs, and as well as in the rump, I would like this twist on them, but this one is not giving away too much.
Okay, so these are the ideal market lambs you would want is right here. So you want heavy muscling in the back end.
You want lots of width because most of your meat cuts come from the rear end. You want to make sure that they're carrying muscle all through their body and they're not inconsistent. When you would feel them, you would feel along here for a little bit of muscling, in kind of the neck and the front legs, but mainly in the rump here. And you want to feel the length of the loin and length of body overall. And you don't want them to be having too much depth because then you're getting into a little bit of guttiness. And that's why this one, with kind of the straight back bottom line here, is the most ideal.
Okay, so just again, the 4-H Alberta Provincial Judging Competition is March 8th at Lakeland College in Vermilion. If you would like to sign up, please go on the 4-H website. If you have any questions, now is your time to ask.
And we'll stop sharing so we can see everybody. There we go. What are the prizes at the judging workshop? We are not sure quite yet. We're still in the planning stages of it. Just save the date and make sure you check in or get your parents to check in on the the Lakeland College judging team website, and they'll kind of keep you in the loop on that.
What animals are we judging?
That's still to be decided. Usually we'll have a good mixture of beef, sheep, horses, maybe dairy cattle. We're not sure quite yet.
There
but
will be some like non-livestock classes like silage, hay, tractors,
some
cars.
consumer decision making along with the animals.
Since this is a two-part webinar, if I am correct, if there's another part, will you be showing kind of the proper movements and tracking of things like horses, beef, cattle, that type of stuff, so that the kids know what to watch for in terms of their movement and hoof placement?
I think a little bit we will be able to show that. We are limited with being on Zoom and PowerPoints to try and do that, but we will try our best to make it visible to you guys to see that.
Yeah.
The best cuts of meat of cow.
The best cuts of meat on the cow are usually in the rump area. That's where most of your roasts and steaks come from, along with on your top line. There's the tenderloins and all that in there. Not as much in the front quarters, but still, like the brisket is an important piece. But yeah, mainly the rump for beef.
What time is the judging competition? Or what time it is now? Judging competition is March 8th. It starts at 8 a.m.
The quilts, we're not sure quite yet what we're doing for consumer decision making, but like I said, it will be all the information that you'll get before the event will be on our Facebook page for the Lakeland College judging team. Does anybody have any other questions?
Thank you for hosting.
Amazing. I was just gonna say that. Well, if there's no other questions, or if you guys think of any questions, please always reach out you can always reach out to the programs team, or you can save your questions for the next learning series as well. Hold on to them and cover them. But thank you so much, Tanis and Emma. That was awesome. That was great. So big round of applause for showing up and hosting us tonight. That was amazing. No other questions. You guys are good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks.
I think it's done.